You want a Kleenex?
I'll get up if I need it.
All right.
Okay. Was that me?
Epic. Epic. Your computer.
It's my mom. Hi, Mom.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm about to film. I'm about to film about moms.
About mom?
Yeah, I'm about to film about you. Yeah, we're filming. We're about to film.
Okay, film it now.
Okay.
Don't say bad things about your mom.
I'm gonna say so many bad things. It's gonna be crazy.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Love you.
Okay, bye-bye. Love you.
Bye.
Wow, that was epic. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Angel and Tony show. You know, it's Mother's Day week, so we're doing a Mother's Day special, if you will, I guess. For me, Mother's Day is kind of a weird holiday a lot of the time because it generally tends to fall around my birthday. This year, it actually is on my birthday. For most people who know me know that I lost my mom like when I was 5, 6-ish. And so it is kind of like the worst holiday to me because it just is one of those things that kind of reinforces that loss. And like, I'm really garbage at grieving for people when they die and stuff like that. So to have to like face that it sucks a lot. I grew up with a stepmom who was awesome, who did a lot for me. And like, I really have no complaints as far as that goes. Like, I had 2 parents as far as I'm concerned. But there's certain things about the concept of like a mother that are still foreign to me. And so I thought it would be cool to explore that in this episode. So that was kind of ironic that your mom just called
I
me.
know. It's also my grandmother's birthday today. I knew that because they went and visited her at the cemetery and they like planted new flowers and like sent me a photo of it. And yes, my mom did FaceTime me and that was crazy.
So
the timing.
For you, what role did your mom play in your like development, would you say?
I mean, I love my mom. To me, I mean, it's my ma. There's no one else in this entire world universe that is better than my mom. I don't care who it is, you know, like no one can stand up against my mother. No one can comfort me like my mother. No one has been able to teach me like my mother. So going back to your question, you said, what role did she play?
Yeah.
She, you know, helped me through all my phases in life. I was such like a scared kid. I grew up scared all the time. So she helped me through that in a very comforting, you know, motherly way. Whether it's holding my hand through things, like figuratively or literally holding my hand through things, just giving me words of encouragement and just lifting me up. Mother's Day to me doesn't just encompass her. Like, I can't not talk about her sisters as well.
Totally.
Because they were like my mom's, especially my 2 godparents. I mean, especially my Tita Vale, who literally, like, they missed their honeymoon to take care of me, you know? So I definitely can't not mention them as truly helping me and being mother figures in my life.
Yeah, and I definitely want to shout out like my grandmother too. She was like a huge part of my life, and I think recently she passed away when I was like 16.
Okay.
Recently, like, I kind of am starting to feel like the loss of that because she died from cancer, so it was like a slow death. And then by the time like she went, I was happy about it because
She was not suffering.
it was like the end of that suffering. But for some reason, like, I was affected by it, but more by like how everyone else was affected by it. Like, I didn't really like...
You took on like I
didn't feel the loss of her like I did feeling the loss of, like, for my aunt. Like, I felt her loss for her more than I did for me. Because, like, that was her mom.
Right.
And so I knew it was really hard for her. And she kind of she was living in California and moved back to Chicago to kind of, like, deal with that situation. I felt worse for her at the time. Now, like, recently, I just kind of am starting to miss both my grandparents because they're both gone now. But I remember that feeling, that, like, motherly feeling of, like, this person is a superhero. And nobody can touch them. Like nobody can like love you like that. And that concept to me was always something that I felt like I was missing, I think, or like I always was curious about that because it's something that is like unmatched. It's like
do you not think that is something that can be cultivated? Do you think that is more like biologically instinctual?
To a degree, yes, because it would have been different if I was abandoned or something like that, or like I was left, but it wasn't that, and it was like something was taken from me that I had.
Right.
Like I said, like the relationship that I had with my stepmom was not bad at all by any means, but it's not the same, you know, like, and it's always been a hard thing for me to address because I knew that she tried, like she did her best and continues to. It does boil down to that like biological thing to me where like that bond that you have is literally being a part of that person. Mm-hmm. Like that came out of that person. The way they take care of you, the way they like, even like moms of murderers will still like love their kid that's a murderer. Like, so that connection I think is something that was always like amazing to me, or something that was just like foreign to me that like I felt like I was denied. So because she died when I was so young, I didn't have that many memories of her to get like upset about it. It wasn't really because, and I feel bad saying that, it wasn't because like I missed her specifically, because I don't really remember her that much. And like I hate saying that, but like it was more the concept that like I hated. And it was like looking at people on Facebook posting pictures with their mom and they have the same face, you know? Mm-hmm. And like I never knew what that was like. And so that was the thing that was like what I missed. And I felt like I repressed it a lot, or like tried to act like it was fine, or like everything was fine. Yeah. But I also think it was a thing that I never dealt with in a healthy way, I think.
I mean, but you were young. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times when you're that young, there's certain things that, I mean, that's traumatic. Like losing a parent that young is traumatic for sure. So I can't even imagine, you know, what you or your sister went through during that time. But I know that from my experience, like if you deal with trauma as a kid, you kind of lock it up. You honestly, lock it away, and then you don't deal with it until literally your brain tells you, you know what, you can do this now. You know, you can deal with this part now. So I don't think you did anything like wrong per se. I don't think it was healthy ways to deal with it, obviously. But as long as like you're unpacking them now and kind of like seeing that, do you think that you're like opening yourself up to grieve that process, or what do you think has been happening? I mean, because like sidebar, and you can stop me or cut this out if you don't want to put it, but you know, Tony has definitely been dealing with a lot of emotions lately, and he's been looking at his grieving process with people that he loves, like his grandparents and stuff, especially. So I just wanted to know, like, does that also align with your mother?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the ways that I dealt with like loss was to just kind of put it, like, not feel it and just be like, well, people die, like that's what happens. Yeah. And like just kind of anticipate it almost. But
I think like, so another thing about Tony I think like your body or your subconscious, because Tony has this thing with time. He doesn't like when time is lost from him, or you value time a lot. I think that was almost like a defense mechanism for you, or a way for you to kind of sort of deal with it, but in a roundabout way. Like you're worrisome with time and stuff.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing too. Like this year, my birthday, I'll be 33. And like I surpassed my mom's age that she lived to. Like she died at 32. So like that's also a thing like my sister reminded me of that I didn't even think about. You know, as a kid, you feel like adults are adults. Like you don't really realize how short that is.
Yeah, until you get there.
Until you get there, you're like, damn, dude, like if I died right now, like, you know? Right. And like I can't imagine if I had kids right now and I was gone. You know? It was weird because I felt like too growing up that because I had like a person in that position, it almost felt like I wasn't allowed to be sad about it. Like,
because you felt bad? Like, did you
It was like I was
almost feel
afraid
like guilt
of
or something?
Kind of like I was afraid I would hurt her feelings or make her feel like she wasn't doing a good job.
Did you guys talk about your mother growing up?
Not like with her. Like I know who she was. Like plenty of people tell me like plenty of stories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was something that was addressed well enough. And I think my dad did the best that he could in the situation to try to like make sure we had somebody there. But at least in what I remember, like I don't really think it was dealt with in a way that like gave us any type of closure. So we kind of had to make it up. And so that was the way that I chose to do it, was just like, oh well, people die sometimes, like that's what it is. But like as I got older, I'd always be like so depressed
During this time,
Mother's Day, and then again like I would feel bad, and so I would try to just direct it towards like my stepmom and not feel bad about it, but it was there. And so like even doing this episode, I didn't really want to do it because I felt like it would be the same thing, like that I would be dishonoring her and she doesn't deserve it.
but I don't think that that's what you're doing at all. I mean, if
No.
anything, you're honoring her.
So now I want to be like, it's just to say that, I guess. I don't even know what I'm doing right now, to be honest. But usually I'll like write down stuff and kind of guide these to a point, but
We're just letting
I'm
this
just
one
out
flow.
here today.
We're just letting this one flow.
It's hard for me to say because I don't feel like I missed out on the presence of like a female parent. But like that, the whole thing of somebody being able to, even if you're 30 and you're like sad about something and you can go like crawl in bed with your mom. That's so foreign to me.
Yeah, I did that. It's something that I definitely value and I don't take for granted whatsoever. But you know, when I dealt with my heartbreak a couple years ago, I was with my parents in Florida, and when it happened, I literally was just in shambles. I mean, I couldn't talk, I couldn't speak, I couldn't even really breathe, I couldn't really like feel my chest. I remember like chain smoking, just like in and out of the patio, just like smoking it, smoke, hysterically crying. Like I remember my mom specifically just like watching me like through the sliding glass door, and usually she would yell at me for smoking, but they just kind of like let me do this. They let me have that one, and then I just crawled into bed with my parents, you know? So here I am, like a grown woman, you know, in my 30s, and I just crawled into bed with them, and I just like turned into like fetal position. And both my mom and my dad, just they held me like a child, like I was a baby. Man, that feeling, that love, I can't even put into words what that did for me at that time. Like that gave me a sense of real love. Not to be like, now I just sound like really corny right now, but it was like an energy that I can't put into words. It was
Exactly.
like that's all I can that's how I can describe it. And I'll honestly, like from that moment I was like, I'm going to repay my parents for this. Like and I don't really know like how or what. I just was like, them just being there for me during that time in my life, I was like thankful, just grateful for that whole thing. So,
and I think that's like one of those things that comes with that power of like parents and stuff. And I think a lot of my lack of that as an adult, because I think as a kid, especially with my dad, like I was like that, but like as an adult, I've had a really hard time with feeling like I could lean on them like that. And
why?
Because I feel like that's a thing that, at least as a man, I think you learn from your mom, is that ability to be vulnerable or feel like it's okay to go cry to your mom. Like a lot of people that I know growing up, like my friends, would do that. Like go cry to their mom. Like I never felt that. Like that wasn't a thing that I felt like I could do. So I adapted to that. So now even doing this whole process of this and like talking about stuff just on this show in general has been me unpacking a lot of things that I spent my whole life just not
Repressing.
doing because I had I never felt like you could show this stuff.
Like you didn't feel like you had a safe place.
I wouldn't say I didn't feel like I had a safe place, but it just felt like I think your parents' roles, like the mom teaches you sensitivity and like teaches you to
Like with emotions.
like be vulnerable and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you're crying, you go to your mom, and no matter what, even if you're crying about some bullshit, like your mom's still gonna be like, "Oh, come here," because that was what my grandmother used to be like. But if you're kind of missing that side of it, it seems like a small thing, like a simple thing, but I think that like grew into this other thing that I became like as an adult, you know?
Yeah.
And like didn't really realize it until like now. You know what I'm saying? So I also think it played a role in the type of girls that I would date, because I would always be attracted to girls that were super maternal like that.
I mean, yeah, that's something that I definitely noticed in you, like, from the get.
Yeah, and like that was kind of it, because I was constantly looking for that thing,
Like a
because
mother
that was
figure.
like new, that was like foreign.
You miss the nurturing part.
Yeah, I don't really feel like I got it in the same way. Like I got it, but it felt more of like a process. I don't know. Like I just like I never
Yeah.
like I love my stepmom, but I never was like I need to go cry to her. But she also was there in times like when I broke my arm and I was in the hospital. She stayed there with me the whole time. Mm-hmm. So she was there, but like that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like that spiritual whatever it is, like that's what has always been foreign to me, and like what I always have been like after. Mm-hmm. And then it's also a thing that like I deny too, because I feel like I have to not say it because it makes me like weak or some shit like that. So
Well, it doesn't make you weak. I know
yeah.
you know that.
But that's how it's been up to this point. Like people would ask me about it and I wouldn't even talk about it. And like I would be afraid of parent teacher conferences because my stepmom's white. Like they know that's not my mom. But like I would be scared for her to come to my school, not because it was her, but because I didn't want people to be like, "Who's that?" And they know I can't say that because then I know they're gonna ask me about what happened. Like, where's my mom at? And I don't want to talk about it. Like I don't want to have that conversation because I always felt like people would think I was like crippled. You know what I'm saying? Like, or it was a handicap. Like, oh, that poor. And I didn't want people feeling sorry for me either. And especially like as I got older, it was further and further away. So like when I would tell people that, they'd be like, "God, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, dude, it happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it kept being like a thing that I repressed. And then people, even when they would ask me about what do I remember, like the memories I have are really like random and vague, scattered. Like I remember cooking in the kitchen or like reading a book, like real random stuff.
So what is it about right now that has made you want to talk about this? Because I mean, this was something that for sure I wanted it at Tony's pace. But I mean, I wanted to do something about mothers. I've been wanting to kind of go in this direction, but I was really just waiting for him to want to do it. And then he's the one that was like, we should do it for Mother's Day. And I was like, okay. Why now?
I think because doing this has been like a therapy, you know? So I feel like I have like an area where I can talk about it and just like be like not care.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's still like just bigger than I think I could even execute here, and it's such a bigger like conversation.
No, of course.
To me to have that and I didn't write stuff down because I felt like it would just come out, but I also feel like now it's not. But
now it's not coming out.
Like all the things that I wanted to, I don't know, ask about, you know, what it is, because that's really what the bottom line is. Like, what is it? What is that like? You know, and somebody who has had their mom their whole life is like, what do you mean? And like you said, it's hard to describe that, like that feeling, and just like the smaller things of like, there's certain foods that like my grandparents used to make that literally get me emotional to eat because I know that they used to make them. And I think when people are like, nobody can make X dish like my mom's, to me it's really not about like the flavor of that thing as much as it is about like the love that that went into it because your mom made it.
No, for sure.
So those types of things were like crazy to me. Or like when I would be in high school and I would be at like my friend's house and we would be leaving and his mom would be like, "Hey, stop." And he'd be like, "What?" And she'd be like, you didn't give me a kiss. And he'd be like, "Oh," and like go do it. And we were like 15, 16. And he's just like, "This is so lame and you're embarrassing me in front of my friend." And like, I would just look at that like, man, you know, like what is that like? So it's like little stuff that I have to really sit and think about,
Like
what?
little things where, like if you go back, you
like,
remember
what is
little
that
things
like?
where you're like, wow.
Yeah. Or like people who, like a lot, the funniest thing to me is like how annoying a mom can be to a person, and it doesn't matter. Like, no matter what. Like, oh, my mom's calling me right now at the most inopportune time.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I'm going to answer it because, like, what else are you going to do? Or like, no matter what you did bad or wrong, like where they would
like,
feel bad for you.
Yeah.
You know, like if you got a DUI, like your mom's not gonna let you sit in jail.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
no matter what.
I mean, when I got arrested back when I was a teenager, I didn't call my dad. I called my mom, who put me on speakerphone with my dad, and I was like, oh, it was only supposed to be you.
Yeah. And so like there's a mentality to that. Like there's a reason why people do that, and like that was the thing that I was always so enamored by and so like curious about. And my grandmother had a lot of that too, but like when I was born, my granddad retired and she still worked. So like she was around, but like not like he was.
You spent more time with him.
Yeah, for me, I was really like raised by these two men, and my stepmom was there, but she also didn't have the same like authority as like my real mom would have, because she knew at the end of the day like we weren't her kids. So even if she disagreed with my dad, a lot of the times like he still had the last say in it, where I felt like it might have been different otherwise.
Right.
And so it made me like perceive her in that way as like somebody who was there for like these things that like I'll need as a kid, but like I knew it wasn't the same, because even the way she dealt with us wasn't the same. And I don't think that was her fault, but it just like that's the aspect of it that was always like just I was curious about. You know what I mean?
No, totally, man.
The pride that people have, you know, like when people win awards and they're like, I want to thank my mom because she like that. Like, man, this grown ass man is still like, I want to thank my mom for changing my diapers, and that's how I got this. You know, you're just like, what? But all of those things are, I don't know, things that like I'll never have, and so it is a reminder. Like every time, like around Mother's Day, every time, like I just have to think about that. So I don't know. That's what like moms mean to me. And I think as you get older, you kind of do appreciate your parents more. One, because you're around the age where you can kind of remember how they were. Like I remember my dad when he was like 35. Like I remember him, and I wasn't too young to remember it. So it's like now all these things are starting to register, and like things that people went through and dealt with, and knowing like they were doing that with a kid and I was the kid, are all registering now. And I think that's another reason why I'm unpacking a lot of this stuff as far as parents go.
Totally. Know? I literally like had this conversation with my parents not too long ago, and I said, you know, nobody knows what they're doing. Like, and that's kind of what I've realized as I've gotten older. Like, nobody knows. Like, no one knows what anybody is doing. But everybody's just doing stuff. Yeah. And because I do remember my parents as well around like this age, and you know, they didn't know what they were doing. And I thought that they were so smart. I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't, but like, you know, you just, everyone's figuring it out.
They have like, but as a kid, like, they have all the answers.
Right.
Too. Like, they're like God.
And, and then also, you know, like, I'm an emotional person. I'm a hugger. I love to hug. Like, if you don't hug me, like, we're going to have some problems. Like, that. Like, with the emotional support of my mom specifically, they had this like complex, like her and all of her sisters, like they are the least, they like don't know how to hug. Like I had to literally teach them how to hug, not kidding, because they'd come like, and they're super lovable, you know, even like saying I love you, I would literally just yell at them like, okay mom, all right, I love you, okay, okay mom, I love you. And same with my aunt. Like, my Tita Val, like, all right, Tita Val, okay, I love, I love you. Okay, Angie. I'm like, no. No. I said, I love you. And then, like, their hugs, like, sometimes, like, I'd hug them and they're just, their hands are, like, to their sides. But they've gotten so much better. Because I was very obnoxious with it. I, like, hang on to them like a kid, like, jump on top of them like this. I'm like, you gonna hug me.
Back to, like, the things that you learn normally, I guess, from, like, your mom's side of things.
Yeah.
And I think my dad did a really good job trying to be both.
That's awesome.
But, you know, at the end of the day, you can only do so much.
No, of course.
And I don't think I'm totally, like, emotionally dead because
I don't think
of
so
him.
at all.
Like, I don't think he is, and I don't think I am because of that, but...
What I will say about Tony that I really admire is that he is willing to go there. Because I feel like before, early on in our friendship, he was very hesitant to talk about any of this. Feelings, that. Like, Tony was not about to talk about any of that. But I feel like as time has gone on, especially with this show, you are willing to unpack a lot of things. And I think it shows so much strength and, you know, so much willingness to grow as a human being. And I'm proud of you.
Thanks,
know? But yeah, I mean, I think it's super important for us to acknowledge and appreciate what we have and what we don't have. You know, these holidays like Mother's Day or Father's Day or anything that reminds us of any sort of trauma or things that we don't have, I think are an important time to reflect and just, you know, trying to heal from within and grow as a person. Because I think that's what life is about. And there is a child who just hurt herself outside and she's crying right now.
Probably to her mom.
Probably.
At the end of the day, to me, Mother's Day, to me, it's about appreciating your mom. It's about appreciating, like, life in general. It's about appreciating the little things that I think you don't even realize until, like, you don't have it. I'm trying to make it stop being, like, a sad thing. So I think that's my goal for it, is to make it be something that is...
Celebrate.
Good for everybody. Like, good like it is for everybody else. I don't know how to do that. I'm working on it, you know. But that's really all I had to say about it. Like, happy Mother's Day. And hopefully I didn't make everybody depressed.
You didn't.
Hug your mom today.
Happy Mother's Day. Hug your mom. Shout out to all the mothers that I know. You guys are awesome. And you guys are so strong and such amazing people to look up to. And I hope you guys enjoy this Mother's Day. Shout out to the moms who put themselves in roles that aren't biological,
yeah,
you know,
sure.
and do take on families that aren't technically, like, biologically theirs. You guys are all superheroes as well. And mothers are awesome. Mothers are irreplaceable.
For
and
sure.
I love you guys. I love you, Ma. Love you, Ma.